What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy, and I'm going to be doing my ranking for all 34 MCU movies. Now that we got Deadpool and Wolverine finally out, I thought I'd go ahead and update my ranking, because I haven't done an updated MCU movies ranking since, I think, like, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, so I think it's about time for me to do a new one. So, coming in at number 34 is The Incredible Hulk. Now this movie has always been one of my least favorite MCU movies. It's always really just hard to get through. It's 2 hours long, almost. Not even quite 2 hours, but it's not very great. The CGI does not hold up super well, although I will say it holds up better than some of the other MCU movies and stuff, especially in recent years. But, the CGI isn't the best, but it does have some cool fights and stuff. I will say the fight between Hulk and Abomination is pretty cool, and the whole college campus scene is really awesome and everything. And I think that Edward Norton was okay as Bruce Banner, but I personally prefer Mark Ruffalo and everything. And every time I watch this movie, it just feels like something is off watching someone else play Bruce Banner in the MCU. It just doesn't feel right and stuff. But this movie is just okay. Like I said, it's kind of slow paced. It's not the best. It was originally supposed to be a sequel to the 2003 Hulk. In fact, when it came out, I thought that's what it was supposed to be, was a sequel to the 2003 Hulk and everything, but it wasn't, unfortunately, because I would have loved to see Eric Bana come back and him be the Hulk in the MCU. He would have been awesome, because I think he was really great as Bruce Banner and very underrated as that character and stuff. I would have loved to see him in the MCU as the character, but unfortunately that didn't happen, and we got Edward Norton instead, and he's okay as the character, but just the movie itself was not that great. So, The Incredible Hulk is easily my least favorite MCU movie. I don't see anything topping it, although we've had a few movies come close and everything, but this one is easily the bottom of the barrel for me. So, The Incredible Hulk is number 34, and number 33 is Eternals. This movie just feels pointless. They've pretty much announced they're not going to do sequels to it. They're not doing much with it. They are going to at least acknowledge it in Captain America: Brave New World, at least, thank goodness. But this movie just kind of came and went, and nobody really talked about it. A lot of people said it was one of the worst MCU movies. I don't say that it was one of the worst. I just think it could have been better. I kind of agree with a lot of people that this should have been a TV show and stuff, because, or at least had some kind of show introducing these characters. It would have made the movie a lot better and stuff. But I did like the characters enough, and I would have liked to see more of them. I think Kumail Nanjiani, I'm sure I butchered his name. I love him in Eternals, though. I think he's absolutely hilarious and great in here. Brian and Tyree Henry is great. Gemma Chan was great. Everybody was great in this movie and everything. And I think that the cast all worked really good together. Selma Hayek was excellent too. I almost forgot to mention her, but everybody was great in this movie and stuff. And I really enjoy this one. I think it's underrated, but I don't think it's one of the best either. So that's why it's this low on the list. It's definitely not one of my favorite MCU movies, but it is a good one and an underrated one. And pretty much, I think that all the MCU movies are at least watchable and stuff. And this one is definitely watchable. It just isn't one that I would want to rush out and rewatch. It's kind of just one of those that I'll watch if I'm going through all the MCU stuff and everything. So that's why it's not one of my favorites and everything. So it's number 33, and number 32 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm not that big on this movie. I really love the first two Guardians movies and the holiday special, and I just was really disappointed with this movie. I think I just let myself get way too overhyped because I love the first two so much, and I love the holiday special. I love them in Infinity War and everything, so I was really excited to see what they did with the Guardians big finale and stuff. And I will say that the ending was satisfying, though. It did have a good ending and stuff, so I don't feel like this movie is terrible or anything. It's good. It's got some really good emotional moments and stuff, but I like the humor and the more lighthearted sideness that we got with the first two movies. The second one went pretty dark and it had kind of tonal problems, but I liked how it kind of went from dark to quirky and silly and stuff and everything. This movie just went completely dark and everything. There was hardly any humor in it, and it just wasn't as good as some of the movies, and the humor that was in here just wasn't as up to par as other movies, but it's okay. It's my least favorite out of the bunch. It has the worst soundtrack out of the three too as well, and I just feel like this could have been a lot better, could have been a lot worse. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is fine, but it's not a masterpiece or anything like that. So it's number 32, and number 31 is Captain Marvel. Now this movie is okay. It's another one that it's never been one of my most favorites, but it's not really one that I would say I hate either. I don't really hate any of the MCU movies, and this one is okay. Brie Larson is fine as a character and everything. I don't think that this is her best performance as a character. I think she was much better in both Endgame and the Marvels, but I don't think she deserves the hate that she gets either. She's a great actress and everything. I just feel like she's better suited for smaller movies like indie movies and stuff, that they are more of her cup of tea. But she's fine, I guess, and everything. But Captain Marvel is an okay movie. I like the relationship between her and Nick Fury and Maria and Monica Rambeau and stuff. They're likable characters and stuff, and especially Monica when she was a little kid. She's just really likable and funny and stuff, and the stuff with the Flurkins and Talos and the Skrulls, that's all pretty well done and everything. I've come to appreciate this movie more as time has gone by, but it's not one of my most favorites. So Captain Marvel is number 31, and number 30 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now this movie was pretty good. I didn't really like the way they did Kang, though. I think that having him be the villain to Ant-Man was a pretty poor decision. And stuff, they could have easily put him up against a better Avenger, but Paul Rudd is just so likable as his character and everything, and I like him, and I like that we got to explore the quantum realm and stuff and find out more about Janet Van Dyne and her past and stuff. Michelle Pfeiffer was amazing in this movie, and she looked really great too and everything. Michael Douglas was really good in here, although he isn't in it as much. He doesn't do as much in this movie, but he's still good, although I know a lot of people say he phoned it in. I don't think he really did. I think he was just perfectly fine and everything. He didn't bring that emotional weight that he brought to the second, or even really the first movie, but he still was good in it and stuff. And I think Jonathan Majors was a good choice for Kang and stuff and everything. I think he's a good actor and stuff. I hope that he gets his life straightened out and everything. Maybe eventually they'll bring him back and stuff if they get his life straightened out. It's hard to say. I don't know. But I think that the way they did Kang in this just was not very good and stuff. So this movie, it's got its moments, but it's not one of my most favorites. So it's number 30, and number 29 is The Marvels. I really enjoyed this movie way more than I expected, and pretty much from this one up are all movies that I at least enjoy quite a bit. I wouldn't say I love them, but I don't hate them either and everything, and this one is one that I enjoy. I have fun with it. It's a fun movie. It's kind of forgettable though, but there are some fun moments, and I like the story and stuff. I do feel like there was a movie missing there, like that they were missing a story with Captain Marvel that and everything, because so much time had passed between the first movie and this one for the character, and I feel like they should have done a movie that was set somewhere in between these two movies with her, and who knows, maybe they will, or do a Disney Plus show or something, but I don't really see the point in it, because we would know what would happen, because we know what happens with Captain Marvel in this movie, so there's no point in it now, but it just feels weird and everything. But Iman Vellani is just absolutely great as Miss Marvel. I just absolutely love her. She steals the show and everything. I loved her in her show, and I love her in this movie and everything. She's one of my favorite MCU characters out of the new batch of characters. She's definitely my favorite, and if she's part of the Young Avengers, I'll be willing to watch it just because of that, because I do really love her and everything. And I think that Monica Rambeau is really likable too, and she's a really great character too. And the post-credit scene, or mid-credit scene, I can't remember, it's pretty good too. It has where she ends up in the X-Men universe. It's kind of curious. I'm kind of curious to see what happens with her in that. I'm sure we'll see her again, probably in Secret Wars, but I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Monica Rambeau, because it did leave off with a questionable ending. This movie, however, is the worst doing Marvel movie, so it's hard to say if we'll ever get anything resolved with that or not, but I hope we do. I hope they don't ignore it like they're doing with Eternals, and just slightly acknowledging it. I hope we get more, but yeah, so all in all, I think The Marvels is a pretty good one, but it's not one of the best either, so it's number 29, and number 28 is Iron Man 2. I've always felt this movie was very underrated. It's got a really good story with a good performance from Robert Downey Jr. I don't think it was quite as strong as his performance in the first Iron Man or some of the other movies that have came out after it, but I still think he was really, really good in this movie, and I like the whole him trying to get over his alcohol addiction and stuff, and also dealing with his daddy issues, and he had a lot on his plate during the time of this movie and stuff. Whiplash was an okay villain, but not super great. But I did like what is his name? Sam Rockwell. I almost forgot his name. I really like Sam Rockwell in this movie. He's pretty good as the pretty much the anti-Tony Stark and stuff. He's pretty much the opposite of Tony Stark, but he's really likable. I'm surprised we've never got him back in the MCU. I hope eventually maybe we do. And stuff. Maybe Armor Wars will have him. I've heard that he's going to be in it, but yeah. So Iron Man 2 is it's a good movie, but it was a good introduction to Black Widow and Don Cheadle's take on War Machine, which I think is way, way better than Terrence Howard. I think he was way better in this movie than he was in the first one, or than Terrence Howard was in the first one. And he's become one of the characters I've always really kind of liked and everything, just because Don Cheadle brings him to life so well. He kind of has become jokey and stuff, but I still like him. So anyway, Iron Man 2 is number 28, and number 27 is Thor: The Dark World. I really have mixed feelings on this movie. There's things that I really like about it, like the dynamic between Loki and Thor is really good, and everything, and there were some really good moments throughout this movie and everything, but Malekith is one of the absolute worst Marvel villains, for sure. He's not the very worst. I'd actually say the villain in the Marvels is definitely worse than him. But Malekith is pretty boring and stuff, and he just doesn't really do anything. And there are some fun moments here and there. The fish out of water stuff with Jane being in Asgard wasn't as fun as Thor being on Earth, but it was cool getting to spend more time in Asgard and stuff. And the escape sequence was a lot of fun. So it does have its moments and everything, but it just isn't one of my most favorites. I do like the stuff in the third act with the thing where the teleportation device, where things just keep falling in and out and everything, and they're stuck in this teleportation device thing. I thought that was kind of fun and stuff too. So all in all, Thor: The Dark World is just okay. It's not one of my most favorites, but I don't hate it either. So it's number 27. And number 26 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I really enjoy this movie. I think it's a pretty good sequel to the first Ant-Man movie. It has a lot of really fun moments. Ant-Man is just as likable and charming as ever, and the Wasp is really likable and charming too. The villain Ghost is one of the more underrated characters in the MCU. She's not fully a full-fledged villain. You can understand her motivations, and I'm really curious to see how she works out in the Thunderbolts and stuff, if she's still going to be in it. I don't know if she is, but if she is, I'm curious to see what they do with her. I know that movie's been going through a lot of production problems and stuff, so I don't remember. It's hard to keep up with everything, but I really liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought it was pretty fun and everything. So it's number 26, and number 25 is Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, this movie I think is really underrated, to be honest with you. I really enjoy this movie quite a bit, and everything. I think that it has a lot of really funny jokes and stuff. I know a lot of people didn't like the humor in it, and I do get it, though, because some of the jokes undermine the more serious moments, and there were even parts in there where I was like, dude, can't we be serious for a few minutes at least? And stuff, so I do get it and everything, but I do think that most of the jokes land for me. I do say that those screaming goats are kind of annoying. They don't get on my nerves near as bad as they do other people, but they do get annoying a little bit. But I also do kind of find them hilarious, but they kind of drag the joke out a little bit too much throughout the movie. But I do think Gore the God Butcher is a really good villain, but they also totally underused him and put him in the worst movie that they could have put him in. They should have made this movie a lot more serious, having Gore the God Butcher as the villain, and having him played by Christian Bale. I mean, Christian Bale gave an amazing performance, so, and everything, and he is one of my favorite villains just because of Christian Bale's performance as the character. I really wish that they would have done more with him, though, and everything, and that's the only reason why this movie is so low on this list. If they would have done much better with Christian Bale as Gore and everything, because he was perfectly casted, if they would have done better with that and everything, I think that this movie would be way higher on the list, maybe even in the top 10, because it had a lot of potential. There was a lot there that I really liked and everything. So but a lot of the jokes and stuff didn't work, and the tone is all over the place, and it does have some really awful CGI too. I can't deny that. So all in all, Thor: Love and Thunder is okay. It's just not one of the very best MCU movies, but I don't think it's near as bad as a lot of people say either. So it's just one of the ones that I think is good, but not great and everything. So Thor: Love and Thunder is number 25, and number 24 is Black Widow. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I do feel like it kind of came out late in the MCU. It should have came out after Captain America: Civil War, but it's still a really good movie. It showed enough of Natasha's backstory to keep it interesting and stuff and everything. So that was kind of cool, and getting to see this family dynamic with her and the family that she's with and stuff, Yelena and her parents, that it's really well done. And I'll say that David Harbour and Florence Pugh especially really steal the show. They're both absolutely amazing in here. Rachel Weisz is great too and everything, and this was just a fun movie. It was a good last performance from Scarlett Johansson as this character, although personally I feel like this movie definitely should have came out before Endgame, because her dying in Endgame really just made this movie feel pointless and stuff. So but it's enjoyable, and it has some pretty good moments and stuff throughout and everything, and I did enjoy this movie. I just felt like they could have done more with it and everything. So Black Widow is number 24, and number 23 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now we're getting to the best of the best. Pretty much from this one up, these are all movies that I absolutely love. So pretty much every movie I talk about, I'm gonna love a little bit more and stuff. Which that's how rankings, I guess, are supposed to work. So, but Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is so much fun. Simu Liu is just absolutely great as this character. I love the whole adventure feel of the movie, like it's a globe-trotting adventure movie, while also having a lot of awesome hand-to-hand combat fight scenes and stuff. The bus sequence is a lot of fun, and the big final battle with the dragons and stuff is a lot of fun too. I love that they brought in the dragons, and the Chinese lore and stuff is just really well done, and I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I think it's a very underrated MCU movie, and I really hate having it this low, because really and truly this movie is really good and could be up a lot higher, and it probably will rise up as time goes on and stuff. But for right now, I have it at number 23, and number 22 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This movie is really good. It's not one of the ones that I like to rewatch very much, though, because it is a very sad movie and everything. Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa was one of the best casted characters in the MCU. He was actually probably going to take over carrying the MCU after Robert Downey Jr. left it and stuff. I think T'Challa would have been our lead Avenger and would have been the one to really carry the MCU like Tony Stark did, but Chadwick Boseman passing just meant that could not happen. So they had to rework everything, and for what they did with it, the little time that they had to rework everything, because the movie came out just a couple years after he died and stuff. They did a damn good job with this movie. Like they did a great job making this a really heartfelt, emotional goodbye to him, but also setting up what's going to happen to Wakanda and everything. It's a great conflict for what happened to Wakanda after losing their king and stuff. And it was really well done and very, very well made and stuff. It has a lot of great moments and stuff. The opening is one of the most heartbreaking MCU openings, and actually it is the most heartbreaking MCU opening. There isn't one that tops it, except maybe Guardians of the Galaxy's opening comes close, but that's it. This has a devastating opening, and you feel it throughout the whole movie, the grief and stuff that these characters go through, and it's just so well done. Ryan Coogler actually gets to let his style and vision shine in this movie and everything. It doesn't feel like just a directed by committee MCU movie and stuff too, and I love that when the movies have that kind of unique style to it. And both Black Panther movies have a really unique style to them because of Ryan Coogler. He's one of the few directors that's able to bring his style to the movies, but I really enjoyed this movie and everything, and I think, like I said, with some of the ones below this, they have potential to move up as time goes on and everything. Right now they're so low because I've only watched them a couple times each, so I don't feel like they've warranted being up there with some of my most favorites yet and everything. But I do think that they're going to move up as time goes on. I could totally see it on certain ones. And Wakanda Forever, Shang-Chi, and Black Widow are definitely ones I think could. But anyway, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is number 22, and number 21 is Ant-Man. I really enjoyed the first Ant-Man movie. It's so much fun. Paul Rudd is just absolutely amazing as the titular character. He fits the role perfectly, and he's funny as heck in here, and the relationship between him and Cassie is just really, really well written and everything, and you understand his motivations of wanting to try to be a better father for his daughter and stuff, but he gets sucked back into the life of crime with this super suit and stuff, and it's just a lot of fun, and I've always just really enjoyed this movie. I think that it's got a lot of really great heartfelt moments, and it's just really entertaining and stuff. So Ant-Man is number 21, and number 20 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, this one is another movie that I think is really underrated. It's a pretty good continuation of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Ego is a really good villain and everything. And I just really love the story here and everything. But I will say that there are some jokes in here that are just not as funny. That just don't land, and some of them are a little bit mean-spirited. So it's not as good as the first one because of that, but it's still a really solid sequel and everything, and I really enjoy this movie quite a bit. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is number 20, and number 19 is Deadpool and Wolverine. This is the newest movie in the MCU, and it is a crossover with the MCU and the Fox universe, and I absolutely love this movie. I think it's a really, really great movie. I've only seen it once, so I'm not for sure. It could move up and everything, but right now it's at number 19. It's a really, really good movie, and I love the cameos in here. They have some really great cameos and Easter eggs throughout this movie, and so many awesome, hilarious jokes. I can't wait to watch it because I know this is one of those movies that on multiple rewatch you're going to notice things that you didn't before. So I'm looking forward to rewatching this movie and everything. But I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. It's my favorite movie of 2024 so far this year too. So yeah, so Deadpool and Wolverine is number 19, and number 18 is Doctor Strange. This movie has drastically gone up on my ranking since the last time I had done one. This used to be my second least favorite MCU movie, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I've really grown to love the character of Stephen Strange because of the Avengers movies and No Way Home, or whatever it is. I don't know what it is about this movie, but I really enjoyed it this time. When I rewatched it the last time and everything, it's still it's just a really good movie. It's not one of the best MCU movies, that's why it's not like up there really high, but it is a really good movie. It's got a lot of really good moments. Benedict Cumberbatch gives a really great performance here as Doctor Strange, and the movie is just really, really good. So yeah, so Doctor Strange is number 18, and number 17 is Iron Man 3. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. It's a really, really entertaining and enjoyable movie. It has some really good moments and stuff. The Mandarin twist was not the best. I'll admit that they didn't do the best with the Mandarin stuff, but it was still a really enjoyable time. Ben Kingsley is really great in here. He's even better in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. But he's really good in here. Guy Pearce is okay as the villain. He's not really the best. The fake Mandarin thing just was not very good with him. But Rebecca Hall was great in here, and I love the fish out of water story of Tony kind of being stuck without his suit, trying to get back home and stuff. I like that too. So this movie has a lot of really good things about it, but it is not one of the very best MCU movies either, but it's far from the worst either. It's just one that I really enjoy. So it's number 17, and number 16 is Captain America the Winter Soldier. Now, most people would say I'm crazy, but this is my least favorite of the Captain America franchise. Not because it's bad, I just feel like I like the other two a little bit more. But this is a pretty good movie, and everything. It's a really good espionage thriller and everything. I think that Robert Redford does a good job as the villain and stuff, and the stuff with Cap and Black Widow and how their friendship evolves throughout the movie is really well done and everything. And same with Nick Fury too. His friendship with Nick Fury is pretty good, and the whole chase sequences that they get into, and there's a lot of really fun action sequences in this movie. Great special effects, and it's just a really fun, grounded espionage thriller MCU movie. And I've always enjoyed this one quite a bit, and just because it's number 16 doesn't mean that I think it's necessarily a bad movie. It just isn't able to be in my top 10. It used to be, but everything can't stay in the top 10 forever sometimes. So, but this one is a pretty good movie. So, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is number 16, and number 15 is Captain America: The First Avenger. I really debated between which one to put above the other, between this one and The Winter Soldier, but I decided to go with this one because I just love the World War II setting, and I think Joe Johnston's directing is really great and stuff. It has really good cinematography, awesome action scenes, and some of the montage sequences with of him after he first becomes Captain America is a lot of fun, and Bucky's fake out death, because we find out he's still alive in the second one, but his death was really well done, and it has a good emotional ending and stuff. So I really enjoy Captain America: The First Avenger. I think it's a really fun movie and everything, and it's always just been one that I've found really entertaining. So it's number 15, and number 14 is Thor. I've always really loved the first Thor movie. I think it's a ton of fun and everything. I love that Shakespearean feel that we get when he's on Asgard and stuff, and then the fish out of water stuff when he lands on Earth. I know a lot of people say the Earth stuff is boring, but I actually enjoy it. I do think they could have done more with it, sure, but it was fun for what it was. And Tom Hiddleston's introduction as Loki is one of the best introductions to a character in the MCU. He's just a great villain in this movie. Not as good as he is in the Avengers as the villain, but he's still a really good villain in this movie. And the whole dynamic between him and Thor is pretty well done. It's not on the same level as it is in other installments, but it's still really well done, and this was a good introduction to the character and stuff. So I like how far Thor has evolved and stuff in the MCU since this movie came out too. So I gotta say that this is a fun movie, especially going back and rewatching it and seeing how young and cocky he is and stuff. And then you go back or you go forward and watch other stuff, and he still has a cockiness to him, but it's not the same as it was in this movie and everything. I like that. So yeah, Thor is number 14, and number 13 is Thor Ragnarok, the third movie in the Thor franchise. It's still my most favorite out of the Thor movies. It's just absolutely a great movie. It mixes comedy and drama really well. It does everything opposite of what Thor: Love and Thunder did, which Thor: Love and Thunder is pretty much a result of this movie. The jokes landing so much and people thinking it was so funny and stuff, and balancing the serious and comediness, but really loving the comedy really is what made them go overboard with Thor: Love and Thunder and everything, I think. But I still really enjoy this movie. The humor in here is just absolutely hilarious. There's so many laugh out loud funny moments. The whole sequence when they're on Sakaar and stuff, him having to fight the Hulk is fun, and their escape and stuff is a lot of fun, and then the big final battle with Hela is tons of fun and everything, and when Loki shows up, it's just great. And I've always enjoyed this movie. It's just a really fun time, and it's got a great soundtrack too and everything. So Thor Ragnarok is number 13, and number 12 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. Now, you know we have to be getting to the ones that I really love when we get to Spider-Man, because I love Spider-Man, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man is just absolutely great. And even though this is my least favorite out of his trilogy, I still really enjoy this movie quite a bit. It has some really great moments and stuff. The fight sequences with him and the different monsters are a lot of fun and everything. I think the CGI is actually pretty good in this movie too. Mysterio is a really good villain. In fact, I think he's one of the best Spider-Man villains because of the fact that what he does in this movie has big implications on the character. So I think he is one of the best villains and stuff that Spider-Man has had. And I debate whether I'd say he's my favorite out of the MCU ones that Spider-Man has faced, but because of Vulture being so great too. But in some ways, I would say I like Mysterio a little bit more, but I also like Vulture a little bit more. So it's kind of hard to say which one I like more as far as the villains go. But this movie just isn't quite as good as Homecoming, or definitely No Way Home, but it's still a pretty solid and good movie. So Spider-Man Far From Home is number 12, and number 11 is Avengers Age of Ultron. This movie is so underrated too. This is another one that I just feel does not get the love it deserves. I've enjoyed this movie from the day that it came out. I went to see it opening day and never understood why people didn't like this one, because it's got a really great story. The character dynamics are still tons of fun, and everything. It just the only reason I think people like to hate on this one so much is because it's not quite as good as the first Avengers movie. Now there is some things I don't like in here. I don't really care for the subplot of Natasha and Bruce Banner being together. That was a dumb subplot that I didn't like and everything. But there were other things about the movie that made it better, and they made up for it in a lot of ways. It kind of set up the slow confrontation we would be seeing between Cap and Iron Man and stuff, and it was a great introduction to Scarlet Witch, which the show WandaVision makes her character even better in this movie. And there's a lot of things about this that I like and everything. Like, this isn't as horrible as some people say it is. It's not the absolute best, but it's not as horrible as some say either. So Avengers Age of Ultron is number 11, and number 10 is Spider-Man Homecoming. This is a really good first entry in Tom Holland's trilogy and everything, and I love this movie. I think it's really entertaining. It has a great villain with the Vulture, played by Michael Keaton, who just gives a really great performance, and he was hands down the best Spider-Man villain at the time since Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. He's just absolutely amazing in here, and it's got a really good story about Peter having to learn that there's more to life than just being Spider-Man and just being a hero and stuff. More to being a hero than just putting on a suit and stuff. You have to be responsible and stuff, and he has to learn his responsibilities and stuff, and how to be a better hero and stuff by the time the movie ends and stuff. And it's really well done and stuff. So I've always really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. It feels like a John Hughes movie with superhero elements and stuff. It's one of the most fresh and unique takes on Spider-Man, and I really love it for that reason and stuff. So Spider-Man Homecoming is number 10, and number 9 is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, this movie is one that I know a lot of people don't like. I don't understand why, though. I've always enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I think it's really, really entertaining. Wanda is just absolutely crazy as the villain of this movie, although the way her character arc ended in WandaVision didn't fully add up to why she was like this in Multiverse of Madness. I never fully understood that, but she is awesome and everything. Sam Raimi's directing is some of the best in the MCU when he gets to be Sam Raimi. The first half of the movie feels like a typical anybody could have directed an MCU movie, but as soon as they really get going into the multiverse and stuff, that's when it really feels like a Sam Raimi movie, and they give us some pretty crazy, over-the-top Evil Dead Sam Raimi and stuff, and I love that about it. The whole third act is just balls-to-the-walls crazy Sam Raimi-ness, and I love that and everything. And this movie is just a ton of fun and everything. I've always enjoyed it from the day I saw it. I thought this was just a really fun and entertaining movie, and it's one that every time I watch it, I like it a little bit more and everything. And it's easily one of my favorite movies of Phase 4 for sure. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is number 9. And number 8 is Black Panther. I absolutely love this movie. It's another one that's been one of my favorites since the day it came out. and everything. I saw it opening day and fell in love with this movie. It's got a really great story. Chadwick Boseman was just absolutely perfect as T'Challa, and then you got Michael B. Jordan in here as Killmonger, and he is just absolutely amazing and everything. He gives just as much of a great performance as Chadwick Boseman and everything, and he steals the show a lot of the times. He's just a really great character, one of the best MCU villains for sure, and I just really love this movie. So it's easily one of my favorite movies in the MCU, and it still holds up really well and everything. And it also is visually really good too. It has some really nice cinematography and stuff too. There is some bad CGI in the third act, but that's not anything to write home about. There's worse CGI in the MCU than this, but it is what it is. So this movie is number 8, and number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy. I really enjoy the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie quite a bit. It is so much fun and everything. It was a really shocking movie when I saw it for the very first time at how much I enjoyed this movie. Like, I went in not knowing anything about these characters and fell in love with them instantly, like most Marvel fans and everything, and I wanted more and everything. And I think that even though the trilogy, each movie, I liked it a little bit less than the other, I still think this is a solid trilogy, and this was a really good way to start the trilogy and everything. And the Guardians have been some of my favorite characters throughout the whole MCU and stuff, and I hope we get to see more of them. As always, I look forward to more with these characters that I love and everything. So, but yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is number 7, and number 6 is Iron Man. This is the movie that started the MCU, and it's still one of the absolute best. It's a really great story about how, like, Tony Stark became Iron Man and stuff, and like him being held captive in a cave and stuff in the Iranian desert for a long time. I can't remember how long in the movie, but he was in there for a long time, and he finally escapes, and when he does, he wants to make something important out of his life and stuff, because he made a promise and stuff to, after a man died, saving his life and everything. So he's trying to better himself and everything, and it's just a really good story and everything. A great origin story for Iron Man, great entry in the MCU, and just a really great movie altogether. So Iron Man is number 6, and number 5 is The Avengers. This is the first movie in the MCU, or first crossover in the MCU, and this was, when this movie came out, this was the first of its kind. We had never really had a movie where all these franchises crossed over and everything, and this was a big event and everything back in 2012. It was the movie of the summer, and it was a blast from start to finish. I still enjoy this movie just as much as I always have. Getting to see these characters interact for the first time is tons of fun and everything, and Loki is at his best villainy here in this movie. Like he kind of becomes more of an anti-hero after this movie, but he is great as the villain of this movie. The story is really well done, and I've always really loved the Avengers. I think it's a really good movie. So it's number 5, and number 4 is Captain America Civil War. This movie is just absolutely great. I absolutely love this movie. It is a really fun time. It's one of those movies that when it came out and everything, I was all going in excited to be Team Iron Man, and then come out realizing that both Captain America and Iron Man had really good points of views and stuff, and they did a good job with the conflict on that, and making you kind of understand both people's reasonings. I personally still stuck with sticking by Iron Man's side and everything, just because I'm a huge fan of Iron Man, and because of the fact that Bucky killed his parents, and I don't think they should have tag teamed him and everything. I think Bucky should have stayed out of the fight no matter what, whether Steve would have won or not, because Bucky had no right being in that fight, but it does have some of the most emotional moments, and this is also our introduction to Black Panther and Spider-Man, which was a great introduction to both of them. They were both great in here and stuff too, and the airport sequence is just a ton of fun. And this is just a really fun movie, but it's got a lot of good emotional moments as well, and Baron Zemo is one of the best villains too. So, yeah, Captain America Civil War is number 4, and number 3 is Avengers Infinity War. This movie is a blast from start to finish. It never slows down at all. It goes at a neck-breaking pace and everything. And it is a ton of fun. It has a really, really good story and everything. Thanos is a really great villain. One of the greatest movie villains of the last 10 years, if not the greatest of the last 10 years. And as far as comic book villains go, he is definitely the best of the last 10 years. He's just incredibly intimidating and stuff, and Josh Brolin does such an excellent job playing him and stuff, and we got so many really great moments throughout this movie and everything, and really great action sequences, and I just really, really enjoyed this one. So, Avengers Infinity War is number 3, and number 2 is Avengers Endgame. I absolutely love this movie. It is easily, hands down, one of the best MCU movies for sure, and in a lot of ways I almost did put this at number 1, but there is one other movie that I have to say I like just a teeny tiny bit better. Not by much, but this one is a really great culmination of 11 years worth of storytelling and stuff, everything, and all the stuff that the Iron Man and Thor and Captain America franchises led up to with this movie pay off really, really well and everything. And I feel like this is just a really, really great movie. One of the best events that I've ever had at a movie experience. In the theater, opening night was one of the best movie experiences I ever had. And it is just a really, really great time. Great story, great cast, and it came out at a time when I really needed the Avengers, so this is a really good movie. And it's one that I've always just really loved, and I think it is easily, hands down, one of the best MCU movies. And it almost was my number 1 favorite, but there is one other MCU movie that I do like more than it, and everything. So coming in at number 1 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, you could argue this is definitely more of a Spider-Man movie than an MCU movie, but it is part of the MCU, and I can't lie and say that this movie isn't my favorite movie in the MCU. I just absolutely love it, and a lot of it is the nostalgia. I eat that up and everything. I know a lot of people don't like the nostalgia baiting, and they've said that this movie hasn't aged well because it's all based on nostalgia and stuff. I was invested in Peter's story from the get-go, and everything. I enjoyed the whole him trying to figure out how to get into MIT stuff and everything before going to see Doctor Strange. I like all of the build-up and stuff. Yeah, maybe Doctor Strange shouldn't have done the spell and stuff, but I get he was trying to help Peter, and it was good though. Like I said, there's a lot in this movie that there's so many great moments in here that just had me cheering and screaming opening night and everything, and I normally don't do that, but this movie had me so pumped and excited and everything. And when we get to see Tobey Maguire return to Spider-Man, that just is the icing on the cake. One of the greatest moments in MCU history is just getting to see all these characters that I love from another universe come into this universe and everything. I wish they could have stayed and stuff, but they did a good job with it and everything, and it was cool getting to see our old heroes and villains one last time and everything. And Andrew Garfield was once again great in here too. I wanted to give him a mention as well. But I'm not a big fan of his movies and stuff, but I thought he was great in here. And this is just, it is a really fun movie, and to me, this could have been where Marvel ended, and I would have probably been okay with it, even though personally I want a better story to end out the whole universe if we're gonna end it. Not that we are going to. They're not planning on ending it anytime soon. But this was a really, really good movie and everything. So anyway, let me know in the comments what your ranking for the MCU movies are. If you don't want to do a full ranking, because I know 34 is a lot of movies, and this was kind of a hard list to rank. If you don't want to do a full ranking, just tell me your favorite and least favorite. And I hope you enjoy this video, and have a good day, everybody.